temptress. Through the ages she's heading west. From far away, stays for a day. Never a frown with golden brown.
Hey guys, how you doing?
What's up? Hello, all four of you. It's probably just JG, LG, me, and Jeremy. But what's up?
Yeah, how you doing, guys? Good to see you. This is Talk At You, and that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, Jeremy was just queued up a little Stranglers because Dave Greenfield from COVID-19, man.
Yeah, it's kind of clearing the board for legendary musicians in the late 70s and 80s.
Yeah, they survived AIDS somehow, and they survived
Crack,
drinking,
everything else between now that they grew up with, and here it's a respiratory virus that has been knocking them all out. So if you don't think it's serious, guys, it's serious.
Yeah,
Those guys have
We're
lived
losing
through
our-
everything.
we're losing our heroes, man.
We're losing them left and right. Yeah. So
All right.
yeah. You notice I got a little palsy today. I got a little swelling of the mouth.
Tell him he looks fine. He looks fine.
I was gonna just like put up a picture of myself so you just see a picture of me, but he talked me out of it. So you said he couldn't tell if I just stand like this all night.
I didn't talk you out of it. I would prefer if you had a glamour shot up.
Yeah, just with the lasers in the background.
Yeah, and like a hazy lens. I would love that.
Yeah. The hazy filter with the lasers, and man, fucking, I don't even know what like school pictures look like anymore. But back then, that was great when they had the lasers and all that shit, and like soft diffused lens, like you're talking about. I loved all
Yeah.
that shit. Zach is in the chat now. Good to see you, Zach.
A Freudian read on the Vaseline lens. Like, I'm not I'm not to dive into that, but there's got to be something with the blurry lens on like penthouse photography, right? I don't know.
Oh, there's gotta be something in there. Yeah. Who the hell knows?
Anyone who went to school for more than 2 years, chime in.
Yeah. If you took a psychology class, which is a public manipulation class, that's all it is. I read like anyone that's ever taken that's ever majored in psychology is they're just really good at getting people to do shit that they want. Yeah, but whatever.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
What's on the docket?
We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got
Jeremy's gonna bring up. You're talking about I want to know if it's Mcafee.
It's Mcafee. That's the way it was. That's the way when I watch these interviews. That's the way he said it. Yeah, we're gonna do a little 101 on John Mcafee. You would know him as the creator of Mcafee or Mcafee, whatever, antivirus software. All the times that you guys had those early computers signing on to AOL, and then like everything slowed down.
You'd get the AOL disc in the mail. Like every week, they'd send you a CD of AOL, and it would always have Mcafee tied to it, right?
Oh yeah. And then you go to do something on your computer, and then you can't do it because Mcafee starts up and just starts fucking everything up. And you couldn't turn it off. You just had to let it run its course, and it never found anything, even though you're pretty sure that your computer was just riddled with all kinds of diseases.
Porn AIDS. My computer.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're gonna he's lived quite the life, a lot more than what you would think a guy that made a computer software program would live, and continues to this day. Still lives a very weird and strange life, and we're going to dive into some of that, and we'll watch some interviews about him as well, because he gives a fantastic interview too.
And we're gonna talk about the Manhattan cocktail.
Yes, yes.
Tied into Winston Churchill a little bit.
Yeah. It does have connections to Winston Churchill. If it wasn't for, well, we'll get into that later. And then we're gonna. We're also gonna skim the dregs of YouTube again and show you some fantastic things that we found.
I think it's all fetish based, right?
You know what? I mean, I don't know. That I guess that was the hole I was in, because
subliminally Jeremy queued up a bunch of like, oh shit, Will Webb's in here. Subliminally, okay, Jeremy queued up a bunch of fucking videos. There's one, dude, the mom thing I don't get, but it's gotta be fetish, right? It's like what's his face from Psycho?
Norman Bates. Yeah.
Norman Bates. It's like Norman Bates from Psycho.
Like I don't know. Like, obviously I know it's supposed to be funny, but there's just about that kid where, you know, some of it is not kidding. Like, some of it's fucking real. Like they're actually. He's
like, Mom, I need you. We gotta do this.
Yeah.
And then it gets fucking creepy as fuck. But Jeremy's gonna show that video, and it's gonna blow you.
Why don't we just go ahead and just open up with that one? Fuck it.
Let's do it. Let's go into it. Yeah. So we're talking about this Norman Bates kid who, you just gotta watch it. Watch it.
Check this out, guys. All right, dig on this shit. Get ready for nightmares.
Give us your comments in the comment section.
Yeah. Here we go, guys. God bless you all. I think this part bothers me the most.
Yeah. That shit's fucking.
Did he put the shoes on her, or was he just digging in shoes just to dig in shoes?
What do you want to eat for lunch, huh?
Only he and her
McDonald's?
know.
Okay, let's go.
I hate it. I hate this.
A cheeseburger and a small fry. And what do you want, Mom? Thank you very much. Have a great day, man.
Who's filming it? Who's filming it?
Is it good?
How did he get this lady to do this? This can't real Mom.
Yes, it is. He's an incel, and this is the only thing that kept him from shooting up his high school. Dude.
No, this is the best part.
It just turned dark.
Yeah, no, this part is actually subtly really fucked up.
It's working!
Oh, that's so fucked up.
Yeah, it's not good.
You guys, it didn't work. Mom, can you do the dishes and the laundry for me?
I don't get why she has fucking... why she has coat hangers strapped to her hand.
So your mom back from the dead, you guys. Thanks for watching. It's my bedtime again.
Mom, it's bedtime. Mom.
Is it like...
Mom.
Like abortion opposite?
I don't know.
Not to be cold.
But now she's floating.
wrong. There's nothing to see here.
Why are you making it?
Because she's beautiful.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Also, is she mom of the year?
Yeah.
My mom would be like, bitch, get away.
He's like, I think that dude is like John Clooney if he took like 3 turns the wrong way, you know? I'm sorry, John Clooney. I should not have said that, but yeah, it's the first thing that comes to mind. It's the first impression. But yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the nonchalance of that dude's man tits is the most disturbing part of the entire thing.
LG said Happy Mother's Day, and Will said that's how Christianity started.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, we're scraping the dregs, guys. That's what we're doing here. What do we got?
We're just Beavis and Butt-heading our way through bad YouTube videos.
Yeah, through life.
But that one's that one. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's a good one. How about we go with?
What do you got next? Cue it up.
Oh fuck! Let's just go from the fucking hole, dude. Here. We don't even have to watch all of this one, but I think about half of this one's gonna be enough. But here we go, guys. Here's a guy in food reviews. Enjoy.
Hello. Hey, I'm here for another cat food review. Today we do have any cats. There's none here at this house, but I'm here with Jeju, the black pig.
Oh yeah, that's a good substitute there.
Cool. So today we will be reviewing Fancy Feast Delights with Cheddar. Grilled tuna and cheddar cheese feast in gravy.
Gross.
It's gourmet.
It's already gross.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
If you ever see a guy
Oh,
dressed like this and he's
fancy
not
feast.
looking for hard drugs,
So I'm ready for a pretty
this is
fancy
probably
feast.
what
Look
he's
at that.
fucking doing
Look
with
at
his spare
beauty.
time.
Yeah. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, if he's not holding some sort of
I know
like
he likes
sign
mushrooms.
outside of a
I
courthouse.
don't know if they make mushroom cat food. We'll see. Next time, maybe. Alright, so open this guy up. That's not pop top. Ooh, this one's kind of soupy, too.
Ugh,
Maybe I
fuck.
should have brought a spoon. I got a fork.
Is his cat resting in a jack-o'-lantern? Like a
Look at that. It's like, spill this all over my laptop. That would be a problem.
Oh yeah, God forbid
But
you do
it kind
that
of looks
there,
like
Yeah, that'd be the
tofu
problem.
with corn in it.
Ugh. Ugh.
Let's go.
He said there's like corn in it.
It's actually pretty good. First bite tastes pretty good. After a little bit bitter. Kinda.
He's giving notes on this motherfucker.
Yeah, there's like tofu and gravy. A fair amount in here. Trying
Zach,
to eat it all.
you might not be wrong. There's only so much. There's only so many Vienna
Yeah.
sausages
No,
and
this is
potted meat
not-
in the world.
Not half bad.
When all
Oh,
goes
it's the
down, we're
corn
eventually
stuff
gonna have to
that's
turn.
like-
I'd eat my cat before I eat cat food.
It's
Yeah.
a pretty fancy feast.
But I
can
don't have a
see
cat, so
How something like this, it's kind of goopy.
soupy.
Other stuff was supposed to be a little bit better for digestion and all that.
Fuck.
But this works. Want some? Nope.
He likes this one.
You have to sit and watch me eat this whole thing.
Yeah. I guess we're gonna do that.
Yeah, we have to.
Will said he'll eat it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give this one a 3 stars, 3 meows out of 5.
Why does he have to eat the
Definitely a
whole
lot
thing?
better.
Yeah. Why only 3?
Tempted to give it a 3.5, but I'm saving a little bit of range in my reviews for now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's a real hard nut to fucking crack, isn't he? He's the real He's a real pitchfork of fucking cat food.
I could eat this.
I could eat this. It's like you just did. You
fairly
just ate the whole thing.
Yeah, you just ate the whole.
My lunch at
ate
this
the whole
point.
can, dog.
Probably eat something a little later, but
Jesus.
Get some fruit.
I've never delved deep
a nice
into
little meal.
It's Always Sunny with that episode.
Oh yeah, no.
where he,
That's
he
my
has to eat
favorite
the cat
episode.
food. Yeah, of course, it's the best. Like I've watched a handful of those. That show's like Seinfeld to me. Like I've watched a bunch.
Yeah.
But I can't quote them all and all this shit. But that episode where he's like, "Eat the cat food. You gotta eat the cat food." Sleep is amazing.
Oh, dude, I love it. Yeah, this is the episode where they gotta like huff paint, eat cat food, and then pass out before the cats.
It's huff paint, eat cat food, and then literally pass out on the bed on the mattress before the cats start yowling.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, it's so fucking good. I love that. That's my favorite episode. But yeah, like I have so many questions about that guy because, like, all right, like I know he's not like I'm just trying to think of like one, who fucks him. I think the real answer is no one, because are you gonna fuck the
his
person
mom
that
his
eats
mom
cat? Yeah. Who's gonna fuck the guy that eats? Like, I get if you're trying to be funny and be edgy, like, okay, I see you taking a bite of cat food, fine. But this motherfucker did the entire can of cat food like it was no big deal.
Yeah, he didn't have to eat that. That's why Jeremy's not telling you, but that last video with the dead mom and this video are tied together. He's not telling you that, but it's the truth.
Yeah. There's an underlying theme here, guys. Fucking, oh man, it's just like, I don't know, like on Instagram, I through the endeavors, I ended up following this guy that, like, he's like totally like one of these guys, and I'll show it to you sometime, Mike. But he's like, he like lives in like surrounded by like toys from the 80s, and like he's just like, you can tell he's either gonna be a serial killer or eating, you know. I don't, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Eating cat food.
Yeah. But like Zach said, like, you know, like at some point, all this shit's gonna go down, man, and we're gonna have to figure it out. Like we're gonna have to eventually all the potted meat and the veal ham, all that's gonna be gone, and we're gonna have to start eating things like that, you know.
Hey man, I live in Northside. There's enough cats here to survive. So.
That's a
we're good.
Easily
After all,
easily replenishing resource.
After all the squirrels are gone, I'm gonna breed cats to eat.
Okay.
All right.
What else we got in the dregs here?
Hello.
Show that weird.
Show
that weird.
Yeah.
Show that weird ballerina one with the.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Or no. What were you?
Well, here. Let's go ahead and do. Let's do like this one. It's a classic. I was discussing with Mike on this. We think there's not a lot of story behind this, but we believe that this is responsible for a very popular SNL skit from the early 2000s. So dig on this, guys. We think this is the source material. You may have seen this before. I've seen it before, but I forgot about it until I saw it again today. So here we go, guys. This is Goth Talk.
Welcome.
As we have.
You're coming to the line of the ride, the hell ride. We'll be showing you images and everything else, so please keep
Images
your
and everything else.
hands inside the car.
That was some tricky camera work for this low budget.
And what's with the card here?
Loose limbs.
Yeah, I don't know. He never does anything with it, right?
Yeah, he's just like flipping it around.
And he's just fiddling with it. Oh no, there he
Our
goes.
first ride
for you to go through could be the murder ride.
The murder ride.
Do enjoy.
There's Jeremy just tied in another weird mom into this thing.
I feel like they're the only two that sit at the lunch table together.
Your guts turn to
Yeah, right. Table 9.
Overripe plums. Flies crawl in or out. The big ones eat hearty and grow very stout. They bore holes in your nose. They eat your fingers, your privates, your toes.
Is that it?
No.
Where's the rest?
I paused for a moment.
Who is shooting up the
Pause.
state capitol first? This guy or the cat food guy?
My money's on the cat food guy.
Yeah, dude, this guy is just chilling.
I feel like this guy has at least got a couple options in the world.
Yes, it's no fun being.
Oh, this guy's
rotten
probably
and
pulling
dead.
all
It's
the
no
tail
fun
in
at
his
all.
town that has
Enough
like
has
dyed
been
black
said.
hair.
He runs a DJ night somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah.
DJ Ma. What's his name?
DJ Night Incubus. I don't know.
DJ Incubus.
No,
running.
no. It's more like DJ Azrael or something like that. Something out of the Bible.
He's been DJing the longest at Club Hell.
Yeah.
Every town has Club Hell.
Yeah, Club Hell. That's what it is. Yeah, so I believe that probably is. I don't know. I suspect that's definitely like probably the influence of that SNL skit Goth Talk, if you remember that with Chris Kattan, you know. Yeah, it was the thing.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. Chris Kattan wasn't like perfect on SNL, but that sketch was great.
Yeah. Like, honestly, I'd like to find a full episode of that show because I'd love to watch the whole thing and see how. I bet you there's so many more nuances that people left out that are just so much better. Like, just the weird, like, awkward stretching because you can tell he just went out and like was like a little too sure of himself. Didn't prepare for anything. Just like came out like, I'm gonna come out and be like creepy and dark and mysterious and.
I'm gonna be the dude. I'm gonna show these people what dark is in my town.
Yeah, and then just shows up and just kind of.
And then it cuts to his mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or is that his mom? I don't know.
Who's to say? But here we go. Now for something absolutely terrifying. This is Tonetta. I purposely didn't do any research on this, but there are tons of videos of this shit. So
yeah, I don't know Jeremy sent this to me and there was no context, but I was just like, man.
Yeah. So
this is.
So here, I'm gonna serve it to you just like I served Mike this today. No context. Enjoy, guys. It's called Yummy Yummy Pizza.
It's got to be some fetish shit, right?
It has to be.
Yummy, 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 yummy pizza. Yummy, 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 yummy.
It could be a Strangler song, though.
You know, honestly, I was kind of Stranglers earlier.
Really?
I was like, man, this kind of sounds like that Yummy Yummy Pizza song. I bet this is like some weird dude in New York that probably really likes the Stranglers and shit like that. But also, like, he uses those milking machines on his own nipples.
Yummy, 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 yummy pizza.
Does anyone on here know what this is? Know the context of this?
Tonight's the night to teach you, yeah, a certain thing or two.
It's someone named Tonetta. I'll send it in the chat.
Oh my heart, but that will end my life.
This outfit is acceptable at the Ren Fair and
Also at all retail stores because he is wearing a mask.
It's true.
Oh, yummy, 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 yummy pizza. Not
could socially
Go
distance
now,
in an outfit
baby,
like that.
I've seen the truth. You were nothing new.
I can't help but think his entire body is just covered in moisture.
Not his own.
Yeah,
moisture, though.
yeah. It could be a mixture.
Tonight to teach you, yeah, a certain thing or
You
two.
can never tell when you sleep on rubber sheets.
The slip and slide bed.
But that will end my life. As of tonight, oh, we will fly. Let's grease what
Is this nightmare fuel or no? I don't know.
I feel like yes. I mean, if you were like sitting at home by yourself and you just got an email from a stranger with like a winky face, and that's the only thing you got in the heading, and then the attachment was this video, I'd kind of be fucking frightened.
Go now,
Yeah,
baby,
I hear that.
seen the truth.
Or like, and then maybe I'm right outside, you know, something like that.
Nothing new. You were nothing new.
Actually, maybe that gives me an idea for things I can do to my friends later on. Just send them emails from a Phantom account and just say, "Hey, blah blah blah, I'm right outside," and then just attach this file.
I got your like if you're a pizza delivery guy.
Yeah. Hey, your pizza's here.
Your pizza's here. Text message. Dude, for me, can I go down a short
Yeah.
a short story? For me, it triggers this thing. So when I lived in New York, I go to haunted attractions a lot as a hobby, and they started this one called Blackout, and Blackout was one of those haunted attractions that pushes the limits, right? It tests your fight or flight, and like I'm always I'm not a tough guy, but I'm always like if cornered, I can't run. I'm like I freak out, and so. Long story short, we go through this crazy haunted house where you have to sign a waiver, and there's one room where there's a fully naked man, grown-ass man with his dick looked, I had a blindfold on, but I could see around the edges, and his dick was 5 times bigger than mine, and he was wearing, the only clothes he had on was a ballerina slippers, or what do you call them, like the shoes. And so you go into this room, they push you into this room physically, and this ballerina comes up behind you and puts his arms around you and rises up on his like tippy toes, it pirouettes while he's embracing you and like just slow dances with you. And it was the most like fight or flight moment.
with this giant anaconda between his legs, just hitting you at the knees,
just pressing into my back. And I wish
ringing the back of your knees like a bell.
I can go down this story longer later, but dude,
oh no,
that
please
video.
Please.
No, when I watched that video, that's what triggered for me, and like. I did it through a couple of friends, and there was a safe word. I forget. The safe word was like, I quit or something, right? And I remember going right before I hit the ballerina guy who hadn't showered, I think on purpose in like 6 days, smelled real bad, which I don't care about, but I get it. It's your thing.
Oh, yeah.
I remember right before I hit that dude, I had heard like 3 people just scream out like the safe word to get out of there. And like, anyway, that video, when you sent me that video, that's what it like triggered for me. I made it through the whole thing. Dude.
Oh.
I couldn't pirouette to save my life. So the fact that there was this like grown man fully hung and fully nude pirouetting while embracing me was fucking perfect. I loved it. Anyway, Tanetta, that goes out to Tanetta, and that's a short version of a long story that I could tell you. This haunted house was fucked up. I had to pull a tampon out of a girl.
Oh wow. I
got waterboarded. We could talk all the night about this, but that's another episode, I think.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is you experienced, like, because there's a couple things I always think if you talk about it, you're full of shit. Like, one of them being, I forget what the other one is at the moment, but one of them always is someone knows somebody who went to that haunted house that where they pay you $100 if you make it all the way through, and they're allowed to touch you. You know, like, everyone's heard that fucking story, but no one ever knows where it is, and no one's ever been.
So,
they just know someone who knows. So basically, you're saying you've actually done that. And
so this one was this one was very true, but there was no prize, and there was no, if you made it, there was accolades. It was more like, if you don't bow out. But I just remember I did it 2 years in a row, and the first year we did it, it was fucked up. And the second year we did it, it was way worse. And the third year, because you have to pay like $50 to do it. And the third year, I just remember me and all my friends were just like, dude, no, I don't want to pay to be raped. Like, that's what it, like, I mean, when I tell you that I had to pull a tampon out of a girl's vagina, I had to pull a tampon out of a girl's vagina. Like, what? Whether it was fake or not, I don't know. But it seemed real, and that's all that matters. And a naked ballerina guy hugged me, and I wish some of my fucking friends were on here that went with me. But it was good. Anyway, the point is, Tanetta triggered that for me, and I think we should take that segue of weird, creepy people into Mcafee. Mcafee.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because Jeremy sent me this info about the guy who created the antiviral software the other night, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Yes, Nick Turner, I am jealous of that story Mike just told. I want to find that. I want to. Yeah, I want to pay $50.
Jeremy, we can go. We can go. They do it in L.A. and they do it in New York, and it's called Blackout. And you go through alone, dude. There's this other. Fine, you want to go down more?
Yeah.
There's this part where they zip tie your hands to a board, and then they put headphones. They'd like side, right? So they zip tie your hands, you can't move, and then they put headphones on you, and you're blindfolded. And they were playing like or something, like some band I knew, but most people probably didn't know. But it was like Cannibal Corpse.
Something they used to like they use during hostage like scenarios.
Yes. And just like blistering you, and then they cut your zip ties with a I could tell it was a like a box cutter, like a utility, like a Stanley knife. They cut your zip ties, and then they took you over to the thing, and they fucking waterboarded us, dude, like for real. Waterboarded. Like, I could just, that was another time. That was one of the other moments when I could just hear people screaming the safe word.
No.
And
avocado.
It was like, no, I think it was I quit or let me I don't remember, but I just, oh dude. And I just remember with me, it was like that fight or flight thing. I was like, I want to fucking punch all these fuckers right now. But like, I can't because I'm zip tied. It just sucked.
Maybe that's why they zip tie you.
But I could never make the correlation between why is this fun? Like, is this fun? It wasn't fun. It was unique. It was unique, and it was weird, and it was cool, but I don't know if it was fun.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's the same way like people that are always in power go see dominatrixes because they just need they need a vacation. And
yeah, they need to take a load off. Dude.
Speaking of loads, and we'll get to that in a moment too. Taking loads off. Yeah, I guess let's talk about this guy here. This is John Mcafee. He's an American hero, or something like that. He's something. Just look at him, okay?
There's a G.I. Joe of him.
Oh, there should be. There motherfuckers should be.
He looks like Tiger King.
Yeah, you know, he's in the same pantheon. I'd say like, and you know, I think this is like a listicle we should make. Like, I think we need to create our own modern mythology, like our own like pantheon of fucking like new fucking icons like him and
every pro wrestler, Tiger King, John McAfee. Who else you got?
I don't, man.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, yeah, like hate him to death, but he's eternally fascinating. You know, I can't wait till his presidency is over because I can't wait to see how good all of those movies and documentaries are going to be. You know they're going to be fucking fantastic because that's when all the fucking true shit's going to come out.
So many.
Yeah, because at that point he can't stall anything. He can't hide anything. It's all just going to come out. He's just delaying the inevitable. So, anyways, but I think John McAfee, he's going to be one of these guys, and you should know him. He also ran for president last election. But let's go ahead and get...
What? He did?
He ran for the Libertarian ticket.
Wow.
Yeah, he did. In 2016, he did. And I think he tried again a little bit in 2018, and I'll touch on that later, too. So basically... He was born to a father that was in the army and a mother that was English. So he had one of those mixed country, military upbringings. Found his way to Virginia or something. His father killed him. His father was an alcoholic, killed himself at 15. Yeah. He went on to... after college, he sold magazines door to door, and what he would do, his rub is he would go to dorms and he would tell these guys, hey, you want a free subscription to a magazine? This is in this. You want a free subscription to a magazine, but you got to pay for the shipping and handling. So while it's free, it's not free. Which is a very similar strategy we used when I sold Enzyte. And he said he made a small fortune off that, which makes sense because it's definitely a shady business. He eventually began working at a company that coded punch card systems. And a lot of factory work is still, a lot of the machinery is still programmed this way. It's like very binary punch card systems where like, oh, the machine does this at this point, then does this, like, and that's where he kind of learned the basics of computing. This is in like the 60s, late 60s. He eventually found his way. He didn't make it long in that, but he made it long enough to fake a resume that was good enough to get picked up by the Missouri Pacific Railroad. Yeah. So
that thing?
Yeah. So, and at the time, they were just starting to use computers. They had an IBM computer that they were trying to get to schedule train routing patterns. And it took him 6 months, but he figured it out. He got it. He actually figured this shit out. Unfortunately, at the same time, he discovered LSD. And so his routine was he might have even been the first microdoser. So because his routine would be he'd wake up, take some LSD, go to work, do all this coding, route these trains, and call it a day. One day he decided to try some DMT. So he's at work. He did a line of DMT. Didn't do anything for him. So he proceeded to do the whole bag. So by then,
sounds like me.
Yeah.
Sounds like us.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've had the same experience before. I can fully admit to that, and I'll tell that story some other time. But involved me going full Cro-Magnon, man, and naked in the woods and things like that. It was a whole story. But yeah, I guess he started hearing voices, started freaking out. At this point, like tickets for like train routing or printing up left and right, kind of like when you're in a busy restaurant. Like just tickets are just flying left and right, and he can't understand when people are talking to him. He doesn't understand what they're saying. He eventually walks out and hides behind a dumpster, and just like until he comes down, and he just left the job and never came back. That was his last day. That was it.
Gave up.
Fast forward, and there's not much that covers anything about his time in between. But fast forward to 1983, he finds himself as the director of engineering for a company called Omex. And at the time, he begins selling coke to his subordinates and doing a lot of it himself. His daily schedule was actually... we're not taking calls yet.
Who's calling?
Oh, I don't know, but we're not taking the call yet.
Pee-pee butt?
Oh, it's Stu. I don't know how to do this. So, anyways. I thought I turned that off. Anyways. So, where was I? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, he had a habit of doing a bunch of coke in the morning. Then he would be all jacked up and start talking to himself and stuff. So take some Quaaludes. Then as soon as he started to pass out, he would take some more coke, and then by the end, scotch just to level out. He ended up stepping down, and I'm using finger quotes for that because it was one of those situations where he was asked to step down or he would have been removed. So he did that, and then around that time, he was working in Silicon Valley. He read an article about the very first virus, which was invented in 83. 83 by two Arabic brothers who just were curious to see how far it would go. They didn't want it to actually do anything bad. They put their names and addresses and phone numbers in the virus just to see how many computers it could get to.
They were just testing the waters. They were like,
yeah.
This could be a problem, right? Like,
yeah. Well, from the way it read, it was more like morbid curiosity.
Right.
And then it eventually went from there. He read about this and decided to start his own company because he saw how bad this could be, and started what would be Mcafee antivirus software. He started this off in his house, like all those guys did, in his house with like 5 people.
Steve Gates, what? Like, did his mom's garage, right? Yeah. Like, that was the thing.
Steve Jobs?
Or Steve Jobs, yeah. What am I thinking of? Bill Gates. Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. They should be the same.
Same guy.
They should be the same person, though.
Same guy, same story.
One of them did their mom's garage, I think, right?
I think so, yeah. But yeah, so eventually, he did this. By 1990, he was making $5 million a year, with really no overhead, and he was fucking killing it. He was riding high off the .com bubble. Eventually, 94, he decided to strip it all down. He had one of those, I guess you'd call it midlife crisis, you know? One of those things where he decides, like, oh, I don't want to have all the shit in my life, you know, I want to give it up. So he sold all of his assets, and he moved, let's see here. Well, he just kind of fucked around for a little bit, and then he started selling all his assets. But then in 2008, we had the big economic collapse, you know? And at the time, he was still like doing little project companies. Like he started some company that was the first instant messaging system, shit like that. But eventually, 2008 hits. giant collapse. He loses almost all of his holdings, and he sells the rest of it and moves to Belize. Okay, there he gets into antibiotics. He meets a microbiologist and gets into ethics. In
Antiviral, right?
yeah,
Same
yeah,
thing?
exactly. Yeah. So he starts thinking, okay, well, I've been fighting for decades now. Viruses of the computer. Now let's fight viruses of the human body, and all these are based off of natural plants you find in the jungle. Like he's living in the jungle of Belize, and he ends up sets up this microbiologist with her own lab. She quits her job. She sells her house in Boston. Excuse me. And moves down onto his compound. He basically sets up one of these fucking evil fucking mastermind, like 80s supervillain, like American Ninja 2 style, like fucking compounds where
like Island of Dr. Moreau.
exactly,
or no,
yeah. Well, that's one, or like what is it? Not The Last Dragon, but the Bruce Lee movie.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, Enter the Dragon. Yes, it's like that. It's like just it has this giant compound out in the middle of nowhere, armed guards everywhere, and he grows increasingly more paranoid. He at the same time he starts hanging out with. There's a nearby like shitty town, and it's kind of a stopping point for the drug cartels in Central America. So he starts hanging out there in this really shitty place, and he ends up just getting into it, and he ends up writing to somebody that he severed all ties with reality and shit like that, and he said today was the first day I've ever urinated in public, and like he starts dressing like a poor person in Belize and shit like that. He's like completely losing it. He ends up meeting a 17-year-old prostitute that he eventually moves into his compound, and then she tries to kill him. Eventually, the microbiologist flips out, and she hightails it out of there. And we kind of get to the point where he makes this video.
He's on board with Epstein.
Yeah. It's like he's got a lot to say about Epstein too. Like he clearly says that he's totally analyzed the situation of how Epstein died, and he believes he didn't kill himself. He's got a lot to say about that too. But here, dig on this video. This is him making a kind of tongue-in-cheek video about his stay in Belize.
Sit on this hammock.
That is not it.
The hammock.
Here we go.
No, that was it.
Yeah, that was it. No. For real this time. Here we go.
Sit on this hammock.
Oh, not that one.
The hammock has a hole.
Not that one either. We're getting to that.
Again.
Here we go.
Again. We're doing this live.
Yeah.
It's hard to do this live. It doesn't seem like it, but it is. Jeremy is the mastermind behind the.
Oh, hello there. My name is John Mcafee. I'm
Here it comes.
founder of the Mcafee antivirus software company. Although I've had nothing to do with this company for over 15 years, I still get volumes of mail asking, how do I uninstall this software? I have no idea. I really need to quit. As I said, I've had nothing to do with Mcafee software for over 15 years. I've had more pressing things to do.
Also, that's his current wife.
But recent events have made me change my mind. I've had, over the years, many responses from users who are complaining about the difficulty in removing the software. I'd like to read you a few things. Holy fucking shit. I was drawing for like 5 hours straight on this marvelous drawing, and I had to do a big-ass scan that slows the shit out of my computer. It was McAfee, of course. My computer's always really fast, but that son of a bitch has to come fuck it up. Here's another. My free trial for McAfee, or however it's spelled, expired. When it expired, it blocked Pornhub. Fuck McAfee. Fuck them in their stupid faces. I hope they all get dick and cunt rot and die a slow, agonizing death for limiting my porn use to X-Hamster. No one should have to use X-Hamster. I tried one final time and got the Urban Dictionary definition for McAfee. McAfee, a barely passable virus, updates at the worst possible times. Tends to render your computer completely useless whenever it starts an update, which it doesn't ask to start, and you cannot cancel or pause. McAfee updates at horrible times, almost like the creators want you to die. So I finally remembered how to uninstall McAfee antivirus software, and I've asked my friend Bartholomew to walk you through the steps. This is my lab tech, Bartholomew. He's going to take you through step by step the process of uninstalling the McAfee antivirus software. Say hello, Bartholomew. Yes, so if you need me, I'll be over here, and good luck.
The procedure for removing McAfee antivirus software from your computer is as follows. First, make sure you have a full backup.
Yes, Bartholomew, back it up. Back it up, that's right.
Yeah,
Very
John.
important, back it up.
Sir, should I be reading the instructions for the Mac or PC? They're really quite different. Depending on which edition and version of McAfee's anti-malware software is installed on your computer, you may have to click on Remove, Uninstall, or a similarly named option to begin the uninstall process. When finished, reboot the system. John, are you getting this?
Yeah.
You may have to download McAfee Consumer Product Removal Tool. John?
Huh? Yes.
Does that sound about right?
Well, not completely, you know. I mean, it's always there. It's watching. It's been watching me for years. Every time I turn on the fucking computer, it's there looking at me. You know, something went wrong. 15 years ago, I had some beautiful software, and they took it over. I don't know what they did. It was hired that Bangkok prostitute to do my taxes while I fucked my accountant. It was terrible. The same fucking thing is going on now. But I know what to do. I know exactly what to do. Believe me, I've got a fucking solution right here.
Yeah, so that's John McAfee right there, just making a. Because I guess when you have that much money, you can film a middle finger to everybody. This came around. That came out around the same time that he had to flee Belize. He had to leave there because he ended up allegedly his neighbor, because his neighbor threatened to poison his dogs. His neighbor was just some rich expat, and yeah, rightfully so. But yeah, he did that. He ended up just he believed also that that the Belize government thought he was manufacturing meth, which could have been. It could have been his antibiotic research, but it's tough to say. He also was found online later on describing the proper way to do bath salts, which he suggested that you take a little bit and put it up your ass. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. He eventually
has anyone tried that?
I don't know.
Don't discount that knowledge, man. That might be.
No. You're right. It's just every report I read of that is people tearing off people's faces and shit like that. I just don't.
Yeah.
You know.
like going fist to fist with a fucking alligator, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all the Florida man.
Yeah, or like having a pizza eating contest with a bear, right? Nick Turner.
Turner's not still.
Yeah,
is Turner still here?
Come on, Turner. I doubt it, but yeah, he was in a pizza eating contest with a bear. Yeah, yeah. Well, eventually he flees to Guatemala, you know, and he gets caught because Vice News is trying to do like a fucking thing with him. They're trying to like have a I don't know, like a little thing, and it ends up not
like a legit thing, like an interview.
Yeah, like one of their doc interview things, you know, and I guess supposedly a picture got out that still had like a geolocation mark on it, and so they found him at his secret hiding spot, and the Guatemalan police arrested him for illegally entering the country. He proceeds to fake not one but two heart attacks while in custody, so he could buy time for his lawyers to keep him from being extradited to Belize, which actually, for whatever reason, worked out, and they sent his ass back to the U.S. And then in the U.S., 2013, that's actually when he made that video that we just watched. Also, around that time, this video gets out, and this is about his habits in Belize. Here, let's check out this.
Very nice. I just like these pictures of him behind, like, I'm in tropical.
Yeah, he looks like a 1980s villain in like a drug movie or something.
Yes, like a Miami Vice bad guy. Like, he's great.
Yeah, dig on this.
Sit on this hammock. The hammock has a hole.
He puts you in a hammock. Then after that, he lies down on the hammock. Then he
he would cut a little hole, and he would sit there. That's what he used it for. Because he wanted to have, like, Scott sex, and I didn't agree with that.
What is Scott sex?
And when you poop in someone's mouth.
He used to make you shit in his mouth. Like that.
Of course.
I like how just
I never
nonchalant
had
they are. Like, yeah,
done that
shit in his
before.
mouth.
It was an experience for me. And
he puts his head under your butt and...
Of course.
He asks you to shit in his mouth, and so...
Did he ever have regular intercourse, like vaginal intercourse?
No, he was a total gentleman.
That was the only thing I did.
I think I was grateful because I wanted to finish school.
Yeah, so yeah, apparently that's his maid's recount of the rumor whether or not he was into people shitting in his mouth, and he doesn't deny it. No, he leans into it. He's all in on it. He doesn't care. Yeah, so yeah, eventually when he gets back to the U.S., he meets a prostitute that he hires, falls in love with her, and marries her. And so if you see any, and I believe in that video, the 2013 video, the black girl that's rubbing her ass all over him, I believe that's his wife, the prostitute. 2016, he runs for President of the United States as part of the Libertarian Party ticket. Gets third place. So the first ever libertarian televised debate he is part of. This guy, this insane motherfucker, is actually part of it. Obviously, he doesn't get the nomination. So he talks later on about doing it again in 2018, which at this point he is in exile because he doesn't believe in taxes, and the IRS is after him. He had the brilliant plan of campaigning by having a bunch of people put masks on with his face on the masks and walking around with a loudspeaker, and then he would just talk through the loudspeaker, and then give.
Of course he did.
Yeah, and give keynote addresses and things like that in that way. So he's a fascinating guy. If you want to read more about it, there's a couple Vice articles. There's a really good article in Wired. There's a documentary called Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee, and that's on Hulu right now. I didn't get a chance to get into that one myself because I was short on time because the face.
Whoa.
But I'm definitely
We
gonna
should watch
it.
that.
Yeah. I recommend you guys watch it. Phil says he's an experimental man. I think he is a true Renaissance man. like if Joe Exotic is Raphael, he is definitely Leonardo.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, that's that. Let's see here.
What else we got?
We got
queued up.
We got these people.
PP Butt is texting me if he can call in.
Yeah, have him call. Yeah, tell him to call in. Well, yeah, I can just call him right now.
Yeah, call him. I doubt he will.
Well,
I'm saying now.
Yeah, I'm calling now. This can't possibly go wrong, can it?
He's sober.
So he says.
I think he is.
Hey, is this Pee-Pee Butt?
Huh?
Is this Pee-Pee Butt?
Yes, Pee-Pee Butt.
Oh, you're on the air, Pee-Pee Butt.
Oh, it sounds so bad.
What's up, man?
Oh,
Pee-Pee Butt here.
yeah, we're just chilling. We were talking about important things. What are you doing, Pee-Pee Butt?
Been into the show. Heard you guys talking about John McIntosh.
Yeah, it's really good stuff, right? Real informative. Do you feel informed?
Real poignant.
I actually I met John McIntosh in Daytona, Florida, '99.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty nice, normal guy as far as I'm concerned. Pee-Pee Butt here. We had some drinks.
Yeah.
We got to drive he had a nice car. We got to drive his car on the beach. I met him at a, a little surfside pub. Pee-Pee Butt.
Club Pee-Pee Butt? Is that where you guys went?
Yeah, I was talking to him. He said his name is John McIntosh, and I was like, holy shnikes, I'm pretty sure that I've heard of Macintosh, and I realized it was the computers he was making were Macintosh. And, we went out. It was Daytona. You've ever been to Daytona? It's pretty fun, even for Pee-Pee Butt. I'm used to partying a little bit, but we were having a good time.
Yeah.
I did notice, though, he liked a little bit of the drugs you don't tell your mother about.
Oh yeah? He was into those, eh?
Yeah, he was like, hey, Pee-Pee Butt, you want to do this stuff? And I was like, that just looks like some white stuff in a cigarette bag.
Or like the stuff you buy at like Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yeah, he just had some white stuff and the thing that's on a cigarette bag or whatever. He was like, hey, Pee-Pee Butt, you want to? And he put it on a car key. I don't know. I dropped it. It fell in the sand.
Uh-oh. In some cultures that's considered very disrespectful.
It was, but turns out, he owned Macintosh computers.
Oh, yeah. So are you still in contact?
I guess it's been a little while. It's, I'm busy. I'm actually working on my own computer company, but
Oh, is that what you're doing right now? Is that what you were working on? I saw pictures.
I'm working on an app. Yeah, it's called Pee-Pee Butt.
What does that app do?
You just can get a hold of me whenever, basically.
I've never had a call fail before, but it definitely just fucking failed. Yeah.
Anyway, that was Pee-Pee Butt.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, Pee-Pee Butt. So we had a call in. It's our second call in ever.
We're like the 8 listener version of Howard Stern.
Yeah. So we got our last thing for tonight here, guys.
Yeah, what do we got? What are we talking about?
Manhattan.
Yeah, the cocktail. Let's talk about the Manhattan cocktail. It's my favorite drink. It's perfect. Is it a cocktail technically? Yeah, it's a cocktail technically, right? It's got liquor. What's the sugar?
And
well, you
liquor.
got vermouth, sweet.
Yeah, you got sweet.
You got
vermouth.
liquor and liquor.
Yeah, you got rye whiskey. You got sweet vermouth, and you got bitters. It's a real easy cocktail to make, but the thing about it is it's got a great history, and it's super customizable.
Yeah, a lot that can go wrong.
So-
I actually prefer the perfect Manhattan if we want to go down that
Yeah,
rabbit
yeah.
hole. But
I mean, I feel like a lot of people are familiar with the Manhattan, and this recipe here is kind of like the standard recipe. I know I make mine a little different. Mike, I'm sure you make yours a little different.
what does that say? 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1 and then 3 dashes.
You can't go wrong, but I think the nuance of the Manhattan is what whiskey are you using, what vermouth are you using, right?
Yes, yes. You gotta use something. If you're gonna use a really aggressive vermouth, like say Carpano Antica, you gotta use a very aggressive rye whiskey that's gonna stand up to it.
A little higher proof rye whiskey. That's what I was going to say. So, like, I worked at a bar once where we had a rule: if someone ordered a bourbon Manhattan, we'd use Dolan Rouge as the vermouth, and if someone ordered a high proof rye whiskey or even a high proof bourbon whiskey, we'd use the Carpano to that
Yeah.
proof. And what do we mean by that? We mean the Dolan Rouge. Certain vermouths are a little drier, and some are a little sweeter, but you all know this cocktail. Jeremy will go into a little history of it.
Yeah, yeah. Damn it. You know what?
I think you will. I was gonna say. I don't even know. This is kind of one of those cocktails where the history doesn't even matter because it's been around forever. I think it's English in origin, if I'm not mistaken, but.
Yeah, no, I forget what the date was, but I do know that it was made in America. It was made at the Manhattan Club or something. Hence is where the name where it gets its name. It was sort of instructed to be made by Winston Churchill's mother. She was.
Oh, that's why I thought it was English.
Yeah, yeah. It's like there's so many details in all these old stories, and it's hard to keep them all together. But essentially, yeah, that's what happened with the Manhattan. She didn't invent the cocktail, but she's the one. So if we don't know who actually invented the cocktail, the bartender himself or herself, whoever. That would be the Tesla. Winston Churchill's mother would be the Thomas Edison, famous for bringing it out to the world. And this cocktail has stood the test of time. Like it's infinitely adjustable. Really, if you switch out the vermouth and switch the spirit to gin, and take out the bitters, just add like a dash of orange bitters, maybe you have a martini. You can switch out the rye for a mezcal if you feel like it. It's infinitely adjustable, and so many other drinks are based off of this standalone drink.
Yeah, I mean, so one of my favorite drinks is the Martinez, which is the same drink but with gin, right?
Yeah. People say that is the precursor to the martini.
Right, because you just switch the sweet vermouth for the dry vermouth. It was gin, sweet vermouth, bitters, and you just switch the. But I'm doing a quick little because I always heard there was no like real origination of the Manhattan, which you just attested to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was Churchill's mom that made it popular.
I read it somewhere. I forget where. I've read so much of this shit over time, and that it's weird. You don't end up really talking about it, and if I didn't have a fucking terrible, would have been able to tell you all about it. But I've forgotten more than I remember at this point.
Oh no, it's all good. I think the most important thing for us, at least people like me and you talking, is pairing the right whiskey with the right vermouth is the right way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like for instance, you can't use like. It's a really bad idea. Some people will ask for it all the time. Obviously, you give people what they want, but you got to make sure you pair. You got to know your vermouths, and it's good to have more than one vermouth option. If someone asks for, say, like Maker's Mark, a weeded bourbon, you know.
Yeah.
It's
don't go too crazy on your vermouth. Don't go too heavy on your vermouth, right? Use a lighter, or no, you could use a stronger vermouth, that I guess, because it's weeded, but
yeah.
What's it like?
Oh, it's like if you use like a Carpano Antica, it's gonna beat up all over it, and you're gonna lose all the nuance of the whiskey.
It's gonna overpower it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the image you have up, what do you think's wrong with it? I like that recipe. You don't like it?
I tend to use just a 1/4 ounce less of the sweet vermouth. I go 0.75.
Yeah, I hear that.
I know some people that do 0.5. I think that's a little much in my opinion, but to each their own. I like vermouth, so that's not really a thing for me, you know.
Yeah, I'm an Ango person, so I'll do like 5 dashes sometimes. Like when I make them at home.
Okay.
I'll do two 1 ounce and then 5 dashes of Ango. But it depends on the whiskey. I actually am a big fan of Canadian Club in my Manhattans.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Which I find funny, but
yeah. For those that don't know, that is a Canadian style whiskey, which would be a lighter whiskey. It doesn't have the weight that bourbon does usually. Usually, not always, but usually.
They're usually lower proof but more rye forward whiskeys.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, they're a little spicier. They tend to not have like the bottom oomph to them. But if you wanted to drink Prohibition, that would be more authentic than using actual bourbon, because a lot of whiskey was smuggled in from Canada. And what do they have? Canadian Club.
Canadian whiskey.
Yeah. My father, when he was a jockey in his heyday, when he was riding in Canada, he would buy like some of the staff people that would help him get his day-to-day things, like his agent and shit like that. When he won a big important race, he would buy a case of Canadian Club and give it out to everybody. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a good story.
Yeah, yes. But yeah, that's the Manhattan. And again, there's different ways to do it. You can just pick a nice fucking rum. Like you can also use mezcal. You can. Did we explain what perfect means? Did we get to that?
Oh no. So I like so the recipe Jeremy has up on screen right now, I think.
No, I'll put it back up.
Put it back up. It would be the exact same thing, but you would do 2 ounces of whiskey of your choice, preferably. I think with a perfect, I'd use a lighter whiskey, like a lower proof rye whiskey, but instead of 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, you'd split that between half dry vermouth and half sweet vermouth, or half French vermouth and half Italian vermouth. And then instead of a cherry, you would use a lemon twist. And I think that's probably my favorite cocktail, if I had to pick one today. But if you can order a perfect Manhattan, and sometimes people won't know what it is, but you're literally splitting the vermouths.
Yeah, you split them in half. It's going to be a little bit drier than your normal Manhattan. I don't think that's altogether a bad thing. Also, the Manhattan does pack quite a punch. So another option for you would be to do the reverse Manhattan, which I know Mike loves a lot. I drink them a lot myself.
I love it.
Yeah, it's basically you take it's self-explanatory. All you do is you just switch the measurements of your vermouth and your whiskey. So for me, I would do rye and I do 2 ounces of sweet vermouth. And that's a low-proof sipper, so you can drink twice as much of those Manhattans. I myself think on a good night I have about 5 to 6 of them in me, and then by then I'm just a mess. So I prefer not to do that. So
Yeah, I think we both just drink fast, so if you do the reverse Manhattan, it helps
Yeah.
slow it down. But also, it's delicious. But the reverse Manhattan is only as good as your vermouth you're using, right? So.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what we got on the Manhattan, guys. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. I'm sorry, I'm not with it today. The face, the tooth, it's got me.
First of all, your face looks perfect.
Yeah, it's the flat.
Also, we always feel self-conscious doing this show because we're doing it live.
Yeah.
But in our own houses.
Yeah.
Where most podcasts are edited. Don't feel bad. Let's take them out. Do we have one more video?
I know I got something here.
Sit on this hammock?
No, not that one. Yeah, I got something here.
If I'm putting Jeremy on the spot.
Oh no, I loaded up something just in case. I forget what.
Okay. Good. Well, I thought so.
All right. Well, since we talked about computers, let's go ahead and do this. We watched one of these last week, but this time it's the same guy that did the things with the floppy disks, but this time he does Spanish Flea. So see how it ties in? Guy runs to South America that does antivirus software. Spanish Flea done on floppy disks.
Nice.
Here we go, guys. Enjoy. All right, guys, that was it. So, thank you guys so much. We're gonna head you out with this one here. Our production vanity card. Here we go, guys.
Oh yeah.
Good night. Good luck. Here you go.
Good night.
Johnny flew a little too close to the sun the last.
I love it.